Lawmakers in the United Kingdom have rejected a deal concerning how their country will separate from the European Union. And that's our first report today on CNN 10. I'm Carl Azus. It's good to have you with us. There were 8 days of debate in Britain's House of Commons. 200 speeches were made, including one yesterday by Prime Minister Theresa May. She wanted Parliament to approve the Brexit agreement that her administration made with the European Union.
And as Prime Minister, I would not stand at this dispatch box and recommend a course of action that I do not believe is in the best interests of our country and our future.
But British lawmakers didn't approve the deal. They voted 432 to 202 against it. Some members of the Prime Minister's political party thought the agreement didn't benefit Britain enough, while many members of the opposing party don't want Brexit to happen at all. The process of separation is still scheduled to begin on March 29th, but without an agreement in place, it would be what's called a no-deal Brexit, a disorderly, uncertain separation that could hurt the British economy, at least temporarily. So what now? That's the big question, and uncertainty is a factor in several possible options for the United Kingdom.
Every day that passes without this issue being resolved means more uncertainty, more bitterness and more rancour.
Prime Minister May could try to negotiate a new agreement with the European Union, but it's uncertain if they'd accept any changes. The British government could extend the date on which it's scheduled to leave the EU, but that could bring more uncertainty about how and when it would do that. Some lawmakers want there to be another vote on Brexit altogether, but it's uncertain whether Britons or other countries would accept that. And it's uncertain what will happen in a parliamentary vote on whether British lawmakers still have confidence in their government.
I have now tabled a motion of no confidence in this government. And I'm pleased that motion will be debated tomorrow.
For their part, officials in the European Union say the clock is ticking and some are preparing for the possibility of a no-deal Brexit. We'll be updating you on this story as it unfolds. 10-second trivia. Lake Tier of the Clouds is considered to be the source of what U.S. river? Colorado River, Hudson River, Mississippi River, or Potomac River? Located high in the Adirondack Mountains, this lake is the source of the Hudson River. That river flows through New York State to the border between New York and New Jersey, and that's where what became known as the Miracle on the Hudson took place 10 years ago. On January 15, 2008, U.S. Airways Flight 1549 was headed from New York City to Charlotte, North Carolina. But shortly after takeoff, several geese were sucked into both of the plane's engines. People aboard said it sounded like a thud or a cannon going off, and the bird strikes caused both engines to shut down. Gliding down at about 1,000 feet per minute, the plane's captain made the decision to try to land in the Hudson River. One survivor said, quote, "God was certainly looking out for all of us because all 155 people aboard survived the crash landing and became part of the unforgettable picture of passengers standing on the wings of an airplane in the river."
We've got some breaking news that's coming into us right now.
Just 3.5 minutes after the birds hit and the engines failed, 155 passengers and crew landed in the Hudson River.
Weren't you terrified? Did you hear him say brace for impact?
I heard the brace for impact. My heart was beating so loudly in my chest and through my ears. I couldn't hear. There was just this ringing in my ears.
Pam Siegel and Steve O'Brien were on board. We talked with them at Carolina's Aviation Museum, in the shadow of their U.S. Airways jet.
So I was in 15C, which is about 4 down from the door, right there, on the aisle.
Steve and Pam first met when they both ended up in the freezing Hudson River.
I thought that we should just get away from the plane, that it could explode or sink.
Surveillance camera caught them swimming in the river. 10 years later, Pam still carries a photo of them.
It's a little tattered now, after years, but it's one where that's Steve and I in the water.
To mark the 10-year anniversary, a group of passengers flew the same route from New York to Charlotte, all of them sitting in their original seats. When they landed, a water cannon salute, and their captain, Chesley Sully Sullenberger, surprised them at the gate. Captain Sullenberger reflected on that day.
I've had 10 years to become even more grateful for what was accomplished that day. We were doing our jobs, but We did our jobs exceedingly well under very trying circumstances, perhaps better than could have been expected, so we have much to celebrate.
When Flight 1549 landed in the river a decade ago, passenger Eric Stevenson told CNN it was a miracle. Today, his appreciation for life has only grown.
One of the big lessons of the flight is just the beauty of relationships, friendships, people that are close to you, and not to get stressed on the little things in life, to try to make the most of the time that we have. And luckily, we've had 10 years gift following what happened on the Hudson.
For many in this group, there is life before Flight 1549 and after.
Did you feel any pressure, given what you had survived, to do something really important with your life?
I did. I mean, I think there's this moment where why am I here? I mean, you kind of question this. Okay, I was spared. I should have died. It should have gone a very different way. And what's my purpose?
Both Pam and Steve are filled with gratitude.
And what do you feel being so close to it now, Steve?
I like to come and touch it when I'm here. I just like to, I think it's good luck, and I like to thank it for saving us.
So what about keeping this from happening again? Neither birds nor planes are going to stop flying, and a wildlife expert says it'd be difficult, if not impossible, to prevent bird strikes altogether. Between 2008 and 2015, the International Civil Aviation Organization said there were almost 98,000 bird strikes reported in 105 countries. The Federal Aviation Administration is trying to use radar to detect birds, and a border collie has worked to scare birds away from an airport in Michigan. Officials say keeping the birds food, water, and shelter away from airports can also be effective.
My name is Laura Francoeur, and I'm the Chief Wildlife Biologist for the Port Authority's wildlife programs. Birds are the major concern.
I'd hit birds who lost thrust on both ends.
They can strike just about any part of the aircraft. It could be the engines, it could be the windshield. You just don't know where they might hit. Bird one's entering the movement area. One of our first lines of defense is habitat management. You want to reduce all the areas where birds would hang out. We try and manage the grass height and also the species of grass. And we spend a lot of money and research looking at different types of grass that have fungus in them that makes the grass not taste very good to birds like geese. When habitat management is not enough, we'll use different things like pyrotechnics. It's like a firecracker going off. It's really good to scare the birds. And then we also have paintball. It's enough to scare the geese away. Just gives them a little sting, doesn't injure them at all. This is our laser. What the birds see is a whole beam of light coming out, so they see a big green stick. This is not a bird paradise at all. So we like our non-lethal tools. If we can't get results from that, then we occasionally will use lethal means. It's not something you want to do as a biologist, but you understand the ultimate goal is safety. As the mechanics are doing a quick walk around in the aircraft, they might find a small spot of blood or a small piece of feather. We actually send it to the Smithsonian Institution, and they have a feather lab, and they can narrow it down to species. The better information we have about what species are being struck, the better our programs can be.
Things you'd expect to see at a boat show. A place to park? Check. Boats? Check. More boats? Check. Coyote in the bathroom? Now that'll make a splash. At Music City Center in Nashville, Tennessee, a wild animal ran past a security checkpoint and onto the exhibit floor of the Nashville Boat Show. Employees somehow trapped it in a bathroom, and then a police officer used catch poles to get the coyote into a police car and later release it in the woods. Where its friends greeted it with a yip yip hooray. It's terrible. We don't know what the coyote wanted with a boat. Maybe it floated the idea of muzzling its way aboard in the hopes of hunting seafood. Maybe it just wanted to showboat. Whatever it was, it seemed pretty candid about the whole thing. They ought to name one of those vessels Coyote McBoatface. I'm Carl Azus for CNN 10.